Welcome back to another Netbeans tutorial. Today's tutorial is basically on custom JFrames. Now, as you can see, I have in front of me our tutorial GUI, which is normally blank or it has a bar at the top or whatever. But I'm going to use a blank one for today because today's going to be an interesting lesson. So now we have a JFrame in front of us, and it's already built up and etc etc. Labeled it and everything. You can check out our other tutorials on how to do this. And basically, this JFrame around it, Windows has provided. So anyway, once that is done, once they provided this and made this whole operating system, etc., came with this cool JFrame, got your minimize and your close button at the top right, and you got your basically a program in the center here. What I want to do is I want to remove this kind of thingy here, this JFrame layout kind of taskbar shit that's there. I don't want that because that doesn't look nice. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this thing, make a custom one. So I'm gonna show you this. I'm also gonna show you the disadvantages of doing this as well, because not everything comes with an advantage. Okay, so let's get started. Let me close this up. Open up Netbeans, and here's my program. Nothing too program, but anyway. And basically it's set to absolute layout. I got my background and stuff done, and I want to go ahead and remove the taskbar JFrame thing. So I'm just gonna go up here to my bottom left, click the JFrame, right click properties, and you're gonna see a list of properties, and you want to go down to the last bit, and you're gonna see undecorated. This is what we want here. This is basically the decoration around it, which is like the JFrame close button, etc etc. You want to set this to false by ticking the box, close it, and you can build and clean and build, sorry. I'm just gonna run it quick to show you the magic. Okay, you can see now that this is loaded up. It took me like 4 hours. You can see now that this is basically looking good here. There's no JFrame around it, and your programs look much different. Like if you had to do a school project or something, your teacher will be really impressed if you do this, because not many students know how to actually figure out how to do this. And we're gonna add a little bar at the top here, a little cool X button for your minimize and close. We'll show you how to code that later on. So we're gonna bring this here, our basic GUI, into Photoshop, and we're gonna Photoshop this up and basically add on a new layer on top of this and make your taskbar for your close and your minimize buttons. And let me point out the disadvantages of this. You can't drag the GUI. As you can see, I'm trying, I can't. Even if you put your taskbar there, you can't. I haven't figured out how to code that yet, but I will. Oh, here we go. Anyway, now that is done, after that is done, we can basically code our X button here. We're gonna make all of that, and to point out, when you make this, you're gonna have less space for your actual GUI and your buttons to go in, because we're gonna take up a bit of space here, like I think 5 pixels or so on the top here to make our taskbar. So always cater for that. So let's get started. Gonna go into Photoshop now. So now that we have this in our Photoshop, I want to go ahead and make this JFrame. So I'm going to go up to where my rectangular marquee tool is, and I want to go down and get my polygon lasso tool. If you don't see it, just right click this and you can choose either one, but we're going to go for the polygon lasso tool. So once that's done, we've got that selected. We're going to zoom in a bit, and once I've done that, I'll move this around quick, and I want to make a new layer now, so just go to your layers. Yours should be open, mine just customized, and I want to make a new layer above my background layer, of course, and then click to basically the edge of the GUI, but not too much down, like there-ish, and hold. See, now it's all in a different angle, so when I hold down shift, so you'll immediately make like a straight line, and I'll bring it all the way down here, and then while holding down shift, it's gonna move in increments of 45 degrees, and I want to make a 45-degree angle here and move it there. Now I'm not making a really nice one, but I'm just making one to show you. So once that is done, I'll move this down a bit by just bumping the down arrow key. That looks a bit good. And I want to get my background color to my lightest color, or whatever color you want to, but I'm gonna go for gray so it matches the GUI. And I'm gonna get the lightest color over here, which is that. Click it and Control D, delete, sorry, while you select it on layer 1. Afterwards you can Control D to deselect, and you basically have your taskbar. Now you want to just pump this up a bit, so double click your layer 1 and bevel and emboss maybe. Yeah, let's go for that. And bump up this. Make sure this is set to 90 so it's straight up. I want to bump this up, make it cool, cause we in the school. My little rhyme session. So once that is done, I'm going to do a drop shadow, make sure the distance is set to 0, and bump this up a bit so it kind of like sets it apart from the GUI. Once that is done, you can see it looks much better now. Your programs are going to look like a beast. So I'm going to zoom this into 200% and we're going to make our buttons. So now that we have our taskbar done, we're going to make our buttons. So just click your shapes tool, right click it, and go to ellipse tool, which makes a little circle. We're going to zoom this in a bit. Let's make a biggish one. Make sure you're holding down select and alt so you get like a perfect circle and a distorted one. And we're going to drag this out to about that big. And we're going to make this a black one. And we're going to rasterize afterwards. Double click this. Actually, let me make a copy because I'm going to make 2 buttons. Let's move this over. And this ellipse one, I'm going to make a cool little bevel and emboss. Sets it apart from something. And I'm going to do the same for the other by just dragging the layer on the top by selecting Control and Alt. Click the effects button, drag it to the top, and I'll both have the same. Now I can just go ahead and edit it, make an X in the middle. Add drop shadows to them. Drop shadows. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now that we both have them, we're gonna make them smaller. So just grab the corner of the layer and hold on Alt and Shift. Just bring that down a size. Make that a bit smaller. Okay, a bit larger. Okay, that's done. Okay, now that you see that's still a bit big, so you just want to vary with this. Now you can see that I have forwarded my video, so I have basically my GUI done now. I have my buttons at the top, and we're gonna code these buttons now, and we're gonna take this back into Netbeans. So let's go do that. Just want to save my tutorial GUI now, and yeah, save the PSD in there, and make sure you save this as PNG, and we can bring it into Netbeans and have some fun with it. Okay, cool. Now we got this into Netbeans, and I have changed my icon for background. And what I want to do now is start coding my buttons. So I'm gonna go up to my palette and take a label, JLabel, bring it down to my center, make sure this is above the background layer so you see it, and I'm going to take up my text and just make this a bit bigger, like EA big, and we're going to drag this over to the first button. Now you can see obviously Netbeans, once you have an absolute layer, it just snaps onto certain pixels or X and Y axes. Yeah, it's kind of selects those, so you can't like position it perfectly, but we can go down to the properties tab and go down to layout and just move this around until we get the perfect settings so it's over the button. Now once that is done, we're gonna code these buttons. So let's call the first one, change the variable name to close B, and we're gonna change the other one to mini B. So minimize and close button. Now what you want to do is you're gonna right click the close B, go to event, mouse clicked, and the code we're gonna add in here is gonna be a little like so. System, make sure your syntax is right, capital letters and everything. System dot exit, sorry my dot is not working, dot exit, open bracket, 0, close bracket, semicolon. Now that is done, we're gonna get the next button, which is the minimize button, and we're gonna go to event, mouse clicked, and the code we're gonna use here is this, which is this GUI dot set state, enter. We're gonna set the width of this. I don't know why they say width, but anyway, I'm gonna say start GUI, which is my GUI, dot iconify. Once that is done, make sure you got your close bracket and then your semicolon, and it's gonna take this line away quick, and then we can basically clean and build. Now that it's successfully built, we're gonna run our program. And now that we are running our program, you can see that our GUI looks much better now that we have our custom buttons, etc. And you can obviously do a better job than I did. I was just doing a tutorial to show you how it's done. And basically our buttons, they work. And the last step is just to add the icons for them, like the hover upon icons. So I'm gonna go click these two by holding control and clicking both of them. Go down to cruiser. Instead of default cruiser, we're gonna go down to hand cruiser, and then we can just run our program. Minimize this for you so you can see, and there we go. See, now as you go over, you have our two cool buttons, and we can minimize, go back up, and we can close the program. So thank you for watching this tutorial. It was like a really good tutorial for us. We figured it out, and we shared it with you, and we appreciate a subscribe or a like and a comment if you're willing to. A like and a subscribe will be perfect, and our next tutorial will probably be much cooler than this, and my partner is definitely working on it as we speak. And thank you for this. Peace.